My name is Leonard Hayes. I'm 74 years old, a retired high school history teacher from Portland, Oregon. For the past 5 years, I've been living with my son Brian and his wife Jessica in their home because I can no longer manage on my own. I have Parkinson's disease. My hands tremble. My balance is poor. I need help with daily tasks, getting dressed, preparing meals, managing my medications. When Brian first invited me to move in, he said, "Dad, we're family. We take care of each other." Jessica smiled and agreed. "We want you here, Leonard. The guest room is all yours." For the first year, everything was fine. They helped me. They were patient when my tremors made me spill things or when I moved slowly. They drove me to doctor appointments. They picked up my medications from the pharmacy. But something changed about 18 months ago. The help became grudging. The patience became irritation. And then the irritation became something much worse. Something I never imagined my own son would be capable of. What you see in this video, this bruise around my eye, the swelling on my cheek, this is from 3 days ago, from my son. My own son, who I raised, who I put through college, who I taught to ride a bike and throw a baseball. He did this to me. And he's done it before, many times before. If you're just starting to watch this, I need you to understand something. Elder abuse doesn't always look like what you think. Sometimes it's not strangers in nursing homes. Sometimes it's your own children, in your own home, behind closed doors where no one can see. If this story resonates with you, please hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss stories that need to be told. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Now let me tell you how I discovered that my son and daughter-in-law weren't just helping me with my medications, they were stealing them. How they were physically abusing me when I got difficult. How they made me feel like I was losing my mind. And how a simple pharmacy technician named Maria helped me document everything and saved my life. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease 7 years ago. At first, it was manageable. Slight tremor in my right hand, some stiffness. But Parkinson's is progressive. Over time, I needed more help. My wife Dorothy had passed away 2 years before my diagnosis, so I was alone. Brian insisted I move in with him and Jessica. They had a 4-bedroom house in a nice neighborhood. Their 2 kids, my grandchildren Tyler and Madison, were away at college. "Dad, we have the space. You can't live alone anymore. What if you fall? What if something happened?" He was right. I'd already had 2 falls. My balance was getting worse. So I moved into their guest room on the 1st floor. I brought my favorite chair, my books, some photos. I tried to make it feel like home. Brian and Jessica both worked. He's an accountant, she's a real estate agent. So during the day, I was often alone. I could manage most things. I'd make simple meals, watch television, read. But there were tasks I struggled with. Getting in and out of the shower safely. Remembering which pills to take when. Cutting my food into small enough pieces that I wouldn't choke. In the beginning, they helped willingly. Brian installed grab bars in the bathroom. Jessica organized my medications into a weekly pill organizer. They were patient when I moved slowly or needed things repeated. But around 18 months ago, I started noticing changes. Brian would sigh heavily when I asked for help. "Dad, I just sat down. Can it wait?" Jessica would roll her eyes when I spilled something. "Leonard, you need to be more careful. I just mopped that floor." The grandchildren stopped visiting. When I asked why, Brian said, "Dad, they're busy with school and work. You know how it is." But Tyler lived only 40 minutes away. Madison was 30 minutes in the other direction. They used to visit every few weeks. Suddenly, nothing. When I called them, they'd make excuses. "Sorry, Grandpa, I have planned. Maybe next time." I felt like a burden, like I was imposing on my own family. Then came the day I noticed something wrong with my medication. I take 6 different medications for Parkinson. They're crucial. They manage my tremors, my rigidity, my balance. Miss a dose and I deteriorate rapidly. The tremors get worse. I can barely walk. My speech slurs. Jessica picked up my medications from the pharmacy every month. She'd bring them home, fill my pill organizer, and make sure I took them on schedule. Or so I thought. One evening, I was having a particularly bad tremor day. My hands were shaking so badly, I couldn't hold my water glass. "Dad, did you take your medication this morning? Brian asked, annoyed. Jessica gave it to me, like always. Well, something's wrong. You're worse than usual. I tried to think back. Had I taken it? I remembered Jessica handing me the pills, remembered swallowing them. But my memory was fuzzy sometimes. Parkinson's can do that. Maybe I forgot, I said quietly. Dad, you can't forget your meds. That's why we organize them for you. I'm sorry. That night, lying in bed, I felt confused, anxious. Was my memory getting worse? Was I becoming unreliable? 2 days later, I had another bad tremor episode. This time, I'd watched Jessica specifically to make sure I took my pills. She'd handed me the organizer. I'd taken the pills in front of her. I'd swallowed them with water. I was certain. But 4 hours later, I was shaking so badly I could barely stand. Dad, Jesus Christ, Brian said when he saw me. Did you take your medication? I did. I swear I did. Then why are you like this? I don't know. He looked at Jessica. Is he taking them or not? I watched him take them this morning, she said. Leonard, are you sure you actually swallowed them? Sometimes people with Parkinson's pocket pills without realizing it. I swallowed them. I know I did. Brian rubbed his face, frustrated. We need to talk to your doctor. Something's not working. But something in Jessica's expression made me pause. Was that a smirk? Did she look satisfied? No. I was being paranoid. She was helping me. They both were. Except the episodes kept happening. 2-3 times a week. I'd take my medication. I was certain I was taking it. And then hours later, I'd deteriorate. Severe tremors. Difficulty walking. Slurred speech. And every time, Brian would get more frustrated. Dad, I can't keep missing work because you can't manage your medication. I am managing them. Clearly you're not. I started to doubt myself. Was I taking them? Was I imagining it? Was my mind going along with my body? Then came the morning I found the pills. Jessica had already left for work. Brian was in the shower. I was in the kitchen, trying to make toast, when I dropped the butter knife. It clattered under the refrigerator. I got down on my hands and knees, which took several minutes because of my balance, and reached under the fridge to retrieve it. That's when I saw them. Little white pills, blue pills, yellow pills, scattered under the refrigerator like someone had swept them there. I recognized them immediately. My Parkinson's medications. With shaking hands, I picked them up, counted them. 15 pills, different types. All mine. My brain struggled to make sense of it. How did they get under the refrigerator? Had I dropped them? But I took my pills at the table, not near the refrigerator. Unless I never actually took them. I sat on the kitchen floor, pills in my trembling palm, and a horrible understanding began to dawn. I didn't confront them immediately. I needed to be sure, so I started paying very close attention. The next morning, Jessica prepared my breakfast and brought my pill organizer. Here you go, Leonard. Make sure you take all of them. I will, thank you. I picked up the pills from the organizer, 3 pills for the morning dose, but instead of putting them directly in my mouth, I pretended to. I brought my hand to my mouth, made the motion, but palmed the pills. Then I made a show of drinking water and swallowing. Good, Jessica said, watching me. I'll clean up here. I kept the pills hidden in my fist. When she turned to the sink, I slipped them into my pants pocket. An hour later, when she was in another room, I took the pills out and looked at them. They were my pills, the right ones, but they'd never made it into my mouth. And that meant every time I took my medications with Jessica watching, she was seeing me palm them, watching me not actually swallow them, and saying nothing. She was letting me deteriorate, on purpose. But why? Over the next 3 days, I tested it again. Same result. Jessica would hand me pills, watch me take them, and then later that day I'd find them swept under furniture or into corners. Once, I found them in the trash. She was sabotaging my medication, and then blaming me for forgetting to take them. I needed proof, so I decided to actually take my medications carefully, making sure they went into my mouth and down my throat, and see what happened. Within a day, I felt better, stronger, tremors decreased, balance improved, my mind felt clearer. That's when I knew for certain. They'd been sabotaging my medications for months, making me deteriorate, making me think I was losing my mind. But why? The answer came on a Thursday evening. I was in my room, reading, when I heard Brian and Jessica talking in the kitchen. Their voices were low, but my hearing was still good. I moved closer to my door to listen. "Can't keep doing this much longer," Brian was saying. "He's going to figure it out." "He's not going to figure it out," Jessica replied. "He has Parkinson. His memory is shit. His doctor already thinks he's non-compliant with his meds. We're almost there." "Almost where?" "Almost to the point where we can petition for guardianship. Once we have guardianship, we have access to his accounts, his pension, his social security, the life insurance policy." My blood ran cold. "How much are we talking?" Brian asked. "His pension is $4,800 a month. Social Security is another $2,000. He has about $280,000 in savings, and the life insurance is $500,000. Jesus! Exactly. But we need him declared incompetent. And the easiest way to do that is to show he can't manage his own medications, can't take care of himself, needs full-time supervision." "What about his doctor?" "Dr. Morrison already has notes in his file about non-compliance, about Leonard claiming he took his meds when his symptoms suggest he didn't. We just need a few more months of documented deterioration, then we petition the court. And once we have guardianship, then we're set. We can access everything. And Leonard, well, Parkinson's patients don't live forever, especially when they're not taking their medications properly." The way she said that last part made my skin crawl. Were they planning to let me die? To actively prevent me from taking life-saving medication until my condition killed me? I stepped back from the door, heart pounding, hands shaking worse than usual. My own son, planning to steal from me, planning to let me deteriorate, maybe even planning to hasten my death. I needed help. I needed to get out. But I was 74 with Parkinson. I couldn't drive. I'd given up my license 2 years ago. I had no phone in my room. They said the cell service was bad there, so my phone stayed charging in the kitchen. I was effectively trapped. That night, I barely slept. I kept the pills they gave me in my pocket, then took actual doses from my prescription bottles that I'd hidden in my room. I needed to stay sharp, stay functional, stay alive. The next morning, Brian came into my room. "Dad, we need to talk." "About what?" "About your care. Jessica and I have been discussing it, and we think it's time to consider additional help." "What kind of help?" "A care facility. A place with nurses, medical supervision, people who can make sure you're taking your medications." "You mean a nursing home?" "A care community, Dad. A nice one." "I don't want to go to a nursing home." His face hardened. "Dad, you're not taking your medications. You're deteriorating. We can't provide the level of care you need." "I am taking my medication." "Dad, stop." His voice was sharp now. "We've been over this. You claim you're taking them, but your symptoms say otherwise. Dr. Morrison agrees. You need supervised care." "No, I'm not going." "It's not your decision anymore." "What?" "We're filing for guardianship, because you're clearly not capable of making your own medical decision." Panic rose in my chest. "You can't do that." "We can, and we are, for your own good, Dad." "This isn't about my good. This is about my money." The moment I said it, I regretted it. Brian's expression changed from frustrated to furious. "What did you say?" "Nothing." You think this is about money? After everything we've done for you? Letting you live here, taking care of you, dealing with your mood swings and your messes and your constant neediness." "Brian, I didn't mean." He grabbed my arm, hard. His fingers dug into my thin skin. "You ungrateful old man. We gave up our lives for you." "Brian, you're hurting me. Do you have any idea how much you've cost us? How much we've sacrificed? And now you're accusing us of stealing from you. I heard you, last night, talking about guardianship, about my pension." His grip tightened. Then, before I could react, he shoved me. I stumbled backward, my poor balance failing me completely. I fell, hitting my head on the corner of my nightstand. Pain exploded through my skull. Blood. I reached up, felt wetness. Brian, shut up. Just shut up. He was standing over me, and for the first time in my life, I was afraid of my own son. Jessica appeared in the doorway. What happened? He fell, Brian said coldly. Got agitated, started yelling accusations, and fell. I didn't fall. He pushed me. See, Brian said to Jessica. This is what I'm talking about. He's delusional, paranoid, accusing us of things that didn't happen. Jessica knelt beside me, not to help, but to examine. That's a nasty cut, Leonard. You really should be more careful. He pushed me. Leonard, Brian would never push you. You fell. Because you're unsteady. Because your Parkinson's is getting worse. Because you're not taking your medications. She looked at Brian. We need to document this for the guardianship petition. She pulled out her phone and took photos of me on the floor, of the blood, of my confused, terrified expression. Perfect, she said. This shows he's a danger to himself. They left me there, on the floor, bleeding. It took me 20 minutes to pull myself up using the nightstand, to make it to the bathroom, to clean the wound on my head. Looking in the mirror, I saw an old man, frightened, bruised, bleeding, trapped. But I also saw something else. Determination. I wasn't going to let them do this. I wasn't going to be their victim. I was going to fight back. I just needed to figure out how. For 3 days after Brian pushed me, I stayed in my room as much as possible. The cut on my head was healing, but a bruise had formed around my left eye where I'd hit the nightstand. Jessica told neighbors I'd had a fall, and they should keep an eye on him because his Parkinson's is getting worse. I felt trapped, helpless, monitored constantly. But on Monday, Jessica had 3 house showings scheduled. Brian was at work. For the first time in weeks, I'd be alone for several hours. Leonard, Jessica said before she left, I'm putting your lunch in the fridge. Don't try to cook anything. Don't leave the house. I'll be back by 3. Okay. The moment her car pulled out of the driveway, I moved. Faster than I'd moved in weeks, my body cooperating now that I was actually taking my medications properly. I found my phone charging in the kitchen. They'd started keeping it there, so you don't lose it, Leonard. I grabbed it and checked the battery. 40%. Enough. Then I did something I'd been planning. I took photos of everything. My medication bottles, full bottles that should have been nearly empty by now, proving I hadn't been taking them. The pills I'd found under the refrigerator, which I'd kept hidden in my room. The bruise around my eye. The healing cut on my head. I documented everything. Then I looked up the nearest pharmacy. Riverside Pharmacy. 3 blocks away. I could walk that. Barely. But I could do it. I put on my coat, grabbed my cane, and left. Jessica had taken my house key, for safekeeping, so I couldn't lock the door behind me, but I didn't care. I needed help, and I needed it now. The walk took me 45 minutes. 3 blocks shouldn't take 45 minutes, but with Parkinson's, every step is a negotiation. My cane scraped the sidewalk. People passed me, gave me sympathetic looks. Old man, struggling to walk, but I kept going. Riverside Pharmacy was a small independent place, not one of the big chains. When I pushed through the door, a bell chimed. A young woman at the counter looked up. Hi there, can I help you? Her name tag said Maria. She was maybe 30, with kind eyes and a warm smile. I paused, suddenly unsure how to say it. I need help. I think someone is tampering with my medications. Her smile faded. Sir, why don't you come sit down? She led me to a chair near the pharmacy counter and called to the back. Tom, can you cover the register for a minute? Then she sat beside me. My name is Maria. I'm a pharmacy technician here. Can you tell me what's going on? And I did. Everything. The sabotaged medications, the financial motive, the push, the guardianship plan, the photos on my phone. Maria listened without interrupting. When I finished, her face was serious. Mr. Hayes, what you're describing is elder abuse. Have you contacted the police? I can't. My phone is monitored. They track my calls, and I don't have any proof except what I just told you. You said you took photos? I showed her my phone, the medication bottles, the pills under the fridge, the bruise. She studied them carefully. Mr. Hayes, I believe you, and I want to help, but I need to be honest. I'm not sure what I can do. I just need someone to document this. Someone who isn't my family. Someone official who can testify that I'm being harmed." She thought for a moment. "Okay, here's what we can do. First, I'm going to document this conversation. With your permission, I'll make copies of the photos on your phone. I'll write up a report of what you told me. It won't be a police report, but it'll be something." "Yes, please." "Second, we can run a check on your prescription history. It'll show when medications were filled, when they should have run out. If you're supposed to be taking them but still have full bottles, that's proof of non-compliance, either because you're not taking them or someone's preventing you from taking them." "They're preventing me. I believe you. Let's get that documented." For the next hour, Maria worked. She photocopied my ID. She accessed my prescription records in the system. She made notes. She took photos of my bruise, with my permission, using the pharmacy's camera. Then she said something that changed everything. "Mr. Hayes, I need to tell you something. Your daughter-in-law, Jessica, she picks up your medications here." "I know, but every month, she also picks up something else. Medication that's not for you. It's in her name, but she pays cash, not insurance." "What medication?" Maria hesitated. "I could lose my job for telling you this. Patient confidentiality. But given what you've told me, Mr. Hayes, she picks up Ambien. A lot of it. 30 pills a month. And when I look at the records, she's been doing it for 18 months. Started the same time your symptoms supposedly got worse." My stomach dropped. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying she might not just be preventing you from taking your Parkinson's medications. She might be giving you something else instead. Ambien causes confusion, memory problems, balance issues. In elderly patients with Parkinson, it can look like disease progression." "She's drugging me. I can't prove that, but it's concerning. And Mr. Hayes, when I look at your prescription pickup history, your Parkinson's medications are being picked up every month, right on schedule. But according to your doctor's notes, which I can see in the system, your doctor thinks you're non-compliant, that you're not taking them, because that's what Jessica and Brian tell him." "Exactly. But if you're not taking them, where are they going? You said you have full bottles at home. That's hundreds of pills." "Mr. Hayes, there's a black market for prescription medications. Some people sell them." The scope of their scheme was becoming clear. Sabotage my medication. Drug me with Ambien to cause confusion. Tell my doctor I'm non-compliant. Keep the prescription pills to sell. Apply for guardianship. Access my money. And probably, let me die once they drained my accounts. "What do?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Maria pulled out a business card. "This is my personal cell number. And this," she wrote another number on the back, "is Adult Protective Services. Mr. Hayes, you need to call them today. Tell them everything you told me. I'll send them copies of my documentation. What if Brian and Jessica find out I came here? How will they know? They track everything. My phone, my movement. Then we delete the evidence from your phone. I've already made copies. You go home, act normal. Tonight, when they're asleep, you use your phone to call APS. Or if you can't do that safely, you call me. I'll call for you." "Okay." I nodded, tears in my eyes. This stranger had shown me more kindness in 1 hour than my own family had shown in months. "Thank you," I managed. "Don't thank me yet. We still need to get you safe. But Mr. Hayes, you did the right thing coming here." She walked me to the door. As I was leaving, she added quietly, "One more thing. When APS investigates, they might want to test your blood, to see if there are drugs in your system that shouldn't be there. Just be prepared for that." I walked home, slower now, exhausted from the emotional toll. When I got back, Jessica's car was in the driveway. My heart sank. She was home early. I opened the door, still unlocked because I didn't have a key, and she was standing in the living room, arms crossed, face furious. "Where the hell have you been?" "I went for a walk," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "A walk? Leonard, you can barely make it to the bathroom without falling, and you went for a walk." "I needed air." "You went for 3 hours. I came home at 1 and you were gone. It's now 4 p.m. Where were you?" "I told you. Walking. I sat in the park for a while." She didn't believe me. I could see it in her eyes. Leonard, you don't go anywhere alone. That's part of the care plan. You could have fallen. You could have gotten lost. You could have. I'm not a prisoner. No, you're a 74-year-old man with Parkinson's who can't be trusted to take his own medications. Maybe because someone keeps hiding them. The words came out before I could stop them. Jessica's expression shifted from anger to something colder. What did you just say? Nothing. No, you said someone is hiding your medications. Who would do that, Leonard? I don't know. Forget it. Are you accusing us again of tampering with your medications? Because we're getting really tired of these paranoid delusions. They're not delusion. Then where's your proof? She stepped closer. Where's your evidence that we're doing anything wrong? Because I'll tell you what I have evidence of. I have photos of you on the floor, bleeding, after you fell. I have statements from neighbors about your declining condition. I have notes from your doctor about non-compliance. So where's your evidence, Leonard? I said nothing, because my evidence was on Maria's computer, in her file, safe. That's what I thought, Jessica said. Now go to your room. You're clearly agitated. I'll bring you dinner later. I'm not hungry. I don't care. You're eating. You've lost 12 pounds in 2 months and it looks like we're neglecting you. So you're going to eat. She was worried about appearances, about how it would look when they filed for guardianship. Gaunt, deteriorating old man might suggest neglect rather than disease progression. I went to my room, closed the door, sat on my bed. I had to call Adult Protective Services tonight, but my phone was in the kitchen again. Jessica had taken it while I was walking back from the pharmacy. I realized they'd probably go through it later, looking for evidence of where I'd been. But I deleted everything. The photos were backed up in Maria's system, not my phone. And I'd cleared my browser history. There was no evidence I'd walked to the pharmacy. At dinner, Brian was quiet, cold. He didn't speak to me, just ate his food and stared at his plate. Jessica made forced conversation about her real estate showings. I ate because refusing would raise suspicion. After dinner, I went to my room, waited. At midnight, I crept out. Brian and Jessica's bedroom door was closed. I could hear soft snoring. I moved slowly, carefully, toward the kitchen where my phone was charging. But when I got there, the phone wasn't on the counter where they usually kept it. I looked around, not on the table, not by the sink. Then I saw it, in Jessica's purse. They'd moved it. They were escalating the control. I couldn't get to it without waking them, so I went back to my room, defeated. But I remembered the card Maria had given me, her personal cell number, written on the back of a Riverside Pharmacy business card. I'd hidden it in my Bible, the one thing I knew Jessica would never go through. The next morning, when Jessica went to take a shower, I grabbed the house phone, called Maria. This is Maria. It's Leonard Hayes. From yesterday. I need help. I can't get to my cell phone and I need to call Adult Protective Services. Mr. Hayes, I'll call them right now. Stay on the line. She conferenced in APS. I told them everything again. The medications, the Ambien, the push, the guardianship plan, the pharmacy text documentation. The APS worker, a woman named Sandra Chen, listened carefully. Mr. Hayes, we're opening an investigation immediately. I'm going to need to come to the house today to interview you and inspect your living conditions. Will your son and daughter-in-law be home? Yes. Good. I want to speak with them too. Can you stay safe until I get there? I'm leaving now. I'll be there in 45 minutes. I'll try. When Jessica came out of the shower, she found me in the kitchen. Who were you talking to? No one. I was just sitting here. She looked at the house phone, checked the call history, saw the outgoing call. Her face went white, then red. Who did you call? I don't remember. Leonard. She grabbed the phone, hit redial. Maria's voice. Riverside Pharmacy. This is Maria. Jessica hung up fast, stared at me. You called the pharmacy? Why? I had a question about my medications. What question? I don't remember now. You're lying. She moved toward me. For a moment, I thought she might hit me, but then we heard it. A car door slamming, footsteps on the front walk, the doorbell. Jessica went to answer it. Through the kitchen doorway, I heard, "I'm Sandra Chen from Adult Protective Services. I'm here to conduct a welfare check on Leonard Hayes." Jessica's voice went instantly professional, sweet, concerned. "Adult Protective Services? Is everything all right? Did someone call about my father-in-law?" "Yes, ma'am. We received a report of possible elder abuse and neglect. I need to speak with Mr. Hayes." "Alone?" "Of course, but I should mention, Leonard has Parkinson's disease. He's been having some confusion lately, some paranoid thoughts. His doctor has documented it." "I understand. I'd still like to speak with him." Sandra Chen entered the kitchen. She was in her 40s, professional but warm. "Mr. Hayes? I'm Sandra. We spoke on the phone. Can we talk in your room?" "Yes." Jessica tried to follow. Sandra stopped her. "Alone, ma'am. That's protocol." "In my room." Sandra closed the door. "Mr. Hayes, I need to see your medications. All of them." I showed her the prescription bottles, full, despite being filled weeks ago. She photographed them with a professional camera, documented the labels, the quantities. "Now show me where you've been finding pills." I took her to the kitchen, got down, with difficulty, and reached under the refrigerator, pulled out 3 more pills I'd found that morning. She bagged them. "These will be tested. And Mr. Hayes, I need to photograph your injuries. The bruise around your eye, the cut on your head. Jessica and Brian will say I fell." "I know. But there's a difference between fall injuries and assault injuries. I've been doing this for 12 years. I can usually tell." She took photos from multiple angles, measured the bruise, documented everything in a tablet. "Mr. Hayes, I'm also going to request a blood test to see what's actually in your system. Would you consent to that?" "Yes." "Good. I'll have a mobile phlebotomist come by this afternoon. Now, I need to interview your son and daughter-in-law." In the living room, Brian had come home from work. Jessica had called him. They both sat on the couch, united front. "Mr. and Mrs. Evans, I need to ask you some questions about Leonard's care." "Of course," Jessica said smoothly. "We want to cooperate fully. We love Leonard. He's family." "How often does Leonard take his prescribed medications?" "Every day. We organize them in a pill organizer and make sure he takes them." "Who picks up his medications from the pharmacy?" "I do," Jessica said. "Every month." "And you give them directly to Leonard?" "Yes. We supervise to make sure he actually swallows them. He sometimes forgets, or thinks he's taken them when he hasn't." Sandra made notes. "I see. And the bruising on his face, how did that happen?" "He fell," Brian said quickly. 3 days ago. He got agitated and fell, hit his head on the nightstand." "Was anyone else in the room when this happened?" "I was," Brian said. "I tried to catch him but couldn't get there in time." "Did you call for medical assistance?" "We cleaned the wound ourselves. We didn't think it was serious enough for the ER." Sandra wrote more. "And are you planning to file for guardianship of Leonard?" Jessica and Brian exchanged glances. "We're considering it," Jessica admitted, "for his own protection. His Parkinson's is progressing. He's not making good decisions, such as wandering off yesterday for 3 hours. We had no idea where he was. He could have been hurt." "Where did you go, Leonard?" Sandra asked me. "For a walk. To the pharmacy." Jessica's face tightened, almost imperceptibly. She hadn't known I'd gone to the pharmacy specifically. Sandra asked more questions about my daily routine, my diet, my social interactions, how often I saw my doctor, whether I had access to money, to transportation, to phone calls. Then she said, "I'm going to need to take Leonard with me for a medical evaluation. Given the concerns raised, we need to ensure his immediate safety." "Take him." Brian stood up. "That's not necessary. He's safe here. That's for us to determine." "Mr. Hayes, would you like to come with me for an evaluation?" "Yes," I said immediately. "Yes, please." Jessica's mask slipped. Pure fury flashed across her face. "Leonard, you don't need to go anywhere. These people are interfering with our family." "Ma'am," Sandra said firmly, "Mr. Hayes is an adult. He's consenting to an evaluation. I'm not removing him from your custody, yet. I'm taking him for assessment. You'll be notified of the results. This is ridiculous, Brian said. He's put ideas in your head, paranoid delusions about us trying to hurt him. It's part of his disease. Mr. Evans, I've heard that argument before, many times, from many families. We'll see what the medical evaluation shows. Sandra helped me gather some clothes, my medications, my Bible with Maria's card still hidden inside. Jessica and Brian watched, helpless, as I walked out their front door. For the first time in 18 months, I felt like I could breathe. Sandra took me to Mercy General Hospital. They had a specialized elder abuse assessment unit. I'd never heard of such a thing, but apparently it existed. Dr. Patricia Wong examined me. She was a geriatrician with additional training in elder abuse forensic. Mr. Hayes, I'm going to do a full physical exam, including the injuries on your face. Then we'll do blood work. I need you to be completely honest with me about everything. I will. The exam took 2 hours. She photographed every bruise, every mark, used special lighting that showed older, faded bruises I didn't even remember getting. Asked detailed questions about how each injury happened. Mr. Hayes, the pattern of bruising on your arms, these are grab marks. Someone held you tightly, multiple times. The bruises are various ages. This didn't happen once. It's been ongoing. Brian grabs me when he's frustrated. Sometimes Jessica does too. Does it hurt? Yes. But I'm old. My skin is thin. It bruises easily. That's true. But the force required to make these specific marks, it's more than just guiding or steadying someone. This is aggressive grabbing. She documented everything. Then came the blood draw. We're testing for your Parkinson's medications to see if they're at therapeutic levels in your system. And we're testing for other substances. Anything that shouldn't be there. The results came back 6 hours later. Dr. Wong sat me down in a private room. Mr. Hayes, your blood shows subtherapeutic levels of all your Parkinson's medications, meaning you haven't been taking them consistently. But more concerning, you have zolpidem in your system. That's the generic name for Ambien. I don't take Ambien. I've never been prescribed Ambien. I know. That's why it's concerning. The level in your blood suggests you've been taking it regularly, not just once but daily, for a significant period of time. Jessica gives me my pills every morning. She must be giving me her Ambien instead of my Parkinson's medication. That's consistent with what we're seeing. Mr. Hayes, Ambien in elderly patients causes exactly the symptoms you've been experiencing. Confusion, memory problems, balance issues, falls. Combined with untreated Parkinson, it's creating a rapid decline that mimics end-stage disease. They were trying to make me appear incompetent. Yes. And Mr. Hayes, if this had continued, if you'd kept taking Ambien instead of your prescribed medications, you would have deteriorated significantly. Falls become more serious in elderly patients. Fractures, head injuries, and untreated Parkinson's can lead to complications. Aspiration pneumonia, immobility. This could have killed you. I sat with that. My son and daughter-in-law had been slowly killing me. For money. What happens now? I asked. Now we report this to the police. What's been done to you is criminal. It's elder abuse, medication tampering, possibly attempted murder depending on how the DA wants to charge it. Sandra from APS is already working with law enforcement. They'll want your statement. Detective Michael Torres arrived that evening. He was with the Elder Abuse Unit of Portland PD. Mr. Hayes, I'm going to record this conversation if that's okay. I need your full statement about what's been happening. I told him everything, all of it, from the beginning. He listened, made notes, asked clarifying questions. And you have documentation from the pharmacy? From a technician named Maria. Yes. She has photos, prescription records, everything. Good. We'll get that. Mr. Hayes, here's where we are. We have probable cause to arrest Brian and Jessica Evans for elder abuse. The blood test showing Ambien you weren't prescribed is solid evidence of drugging. The bruising patterns suggest physical abuse. The medication sabotage is documented. What about my grandchildren, Tyler and Madison? Will they know? He paused. They'll need to know eventually. Your son will be arrested. That's public record. But Mr. Hayes, are you aware they might not believe you? Sometimes adult children side with the parent being accused. I know, but I have to hope they'll understand. We'll move forward with arrests tomorrow morning. In the meantime, you'll stay here at the hospital. We're listing you as a protected person. Brian and Jessica can't contact you or come near you. That night, alone in a hospital room, I slept better than I had in months. No one was going to drug me. No one was going to hurt me. I was safe. Brian and Jessica were arrested the next morning at their home. Portland PD executed a search warrant, seizing all medications in the house, Jessica's phone records, financial documents. They found exactly what Maria had suspected: bottles and bottles of my Parkinson's medications, unopened, worth thousands of dollars on the black market. Jessica's browser history showed searches for how to sell prescription drugs and symptoms of Ambien in elderly patients. They also found a draft guardianship petition, already filled out, ready to file, listing me as incompetent, unable to manage my affairs, requiring full legal guardianship. Detective Torres called to update me. Mr. Hayes, they're both charged with elder abuse, unlawful administration of controlled substances, theft, and assault. Jessica's bail is set at $50,000. Brian's is $75,000 because of the assault component. Will they make bail? They're trying. But here's the thing. Part of bail conditions is no contact with you. They can't come near you, can't call you, can't communicate through third parties. What about my things? My belongings are in their house. We'll arrange for you to get them with police escort. But Mr. Hayes, you can't go back there to live. Do you have somewhere else to go? I didn't. My wife was gone. I had no other children. My friends from teaching were mostly gone or in care facilities themselves. I don't know, I admitted. APS can help place you temporarily. There are some good facilities. I don't want a facility. Sandra from APS came to see me. Leonard, I understand you don't want a nursing home, but you need support. You can't live alone with Parkinson. I know, but there has to be another option. There are assisted living communities, more independent than nursing homes. You'd have your own apartment, but with medical support available. Meals provided. Medication management by actual nurses, not family members. That sounds expensive. You have the resources. Your pension, your social security, your savings. That money is yours, Leonard, not theirs. We'll help you regain control of your finances and use them for your actual care. Over the next week, several things happened. First, I moved into Sunrise Assisted Living. A nice place. Private apartment, 24-hour nursing staff, activities, other residents to talk to. Most importantly, safe. Second, Maria from the pharmacy came to visit. She brought flowers. Mr. Hayes, I wanted to check on you. I've been thinking about you. Maria, you saved my life. Literally. You saved your own life by coming to the pharmacy. I just helped document what you already knew. Will you get in trouble for telling me about Jessica's Ambien prescription? She smiled. My supervisor said I exercised appropriate professional judgment in a suspected abuse situation. I'm not in trouble. And Mr. Hayes, I want you to know, the pharmacy has new protocols now because of your case. We're training all staff to recognize signs of medication diversion and elder abuse. Third, my grandchildren reached out. Tyler first, then Madison. Tyler came to visit at Sunrise. He looked uncomfortable, sad. Grandpa, I don't know what to say. Mom called me from jail. She says you made false accusations, that you're confused because of your Parkinson's. Do I seem confused to you? He studied me. No, you actually seem better than the last time I saw you. Clearer. That's because I'm actually taking my medications now. Real medication, not Ambien disguised as Parkinson's drugs. Is it true? Did they really drug you? Yes. The blood tests proved it. Your father and Jessica were sabotaging my medications so I'd deteriorate. They wanted me declared incompetent so they could control my money. Tyler's face crumpled. Dad tried to take your money? Yes. And when I figured it out, he pushed me. That's how I got this bruise. I pointed to my face, still slightly discolored. Oh my God. Tyler sat down hard. I didn't know. We didn't know. They told us you were declining. that you were getting difficult. They said that's why we shouldn't visit, that it would upset you. They were isolating me, so no one would witness the abuse. I should have known. I should have visited anyway. Tyler, this isn't your fault. They're very good at manipulation. Madison came the next day. Her reaction was angrier. How could they do this? How could Dad hurt you? You're his father. People do terrible things for money, Madison. They convinced themselves they were helping me, that guardianship was for my own good. They justified it. What happens now with the trial? I don't know. Their lawyer is trying to get the charges dismissed, claiming I'm incompetent to testify. But Dr. Wong's evaluation shows I'm fully competent. So we'll see. Tyler's perspective. I'm 23 years old and I don't know who my parents are anymore. I called my dad in jail. He was crying. Tyler, your grandfather is lying. His Parkinson's makes him confused. We were trying to help him and he's twisted everything. Dad, there are blood tests, photos, documentation from the pharmacy. How is that confused? The pharmacy tech misunderstood. The blood tests are wrong. Tyler, you have to believe me. I would never hurt my father, but I don't believe him. Because I visited Grandpa and he's not confused. He's actually better than he's been in a year. Sharper, steadier, happier. And when I really think about it, I remember little things. Times Dad would get frustrated with Grandpa. Times Mom would roll her eyes when Grandpa asked for help. Times they'd complain about the burden of caring for him. I just never thought they'd actually hurt him. Madison and I talked about testifying for Grandpa against our own father. It feels like betraying family. But then we realized Grandpa's family and Dad betrayed him first. The trial took place 8 months after my arrival at Sunrise Assisted Living. 8 months during which I regained my strength, my health, my dignity. Brian and Jessica both pled not guilty. Their defense was exactly what we expected. I was incompetent, confused, paranoid. They were devoted caregivers maliciously accused by a sick old man. But the prosecution had evidence, mountains of it. Maria testified about the prescription patterns, the Ambien, the unopened Parkinson's medications, her detailed documentation of our first conversation. Dr. Wong testified about the blood tests, the therapeutic levels showing I hadn't been taking my prescribed medications, the Ambien in my system, the bruising patterns. Sandra from APS testified about the conditions she found, my full medication bottles, the pills under the refrigerator, my immediate improvement once removed from the home. Detective Torres testified about the evidence seized, the draft guardianship petition, Jessica's browser history about selling prescription drugs, the financial analysis showing their desperate need for money, and I testified for 4 hours about the sabotaged medication, the confusion and deterioration, the push, the overheard conversation about accessing my money, everything. Brian's lawyer tried to discredit me. Mr. Hayes, isn't it true you have Parkinson's disease? Yes. And Parkinson's affects cognitive function, doesn't it? It can, but I've been evaluated multiple times. My cognition is intact. But you're 74, elderly. Memory problems are common. My memory is fine. I remember every detail of what your clients did to me. Isn't it possible you're confused? That you misinterpreted their care as abuse? No. The blood tests don't lie. The bruises don't lie. The prescription records don't lie. I'm not confused. I'm the victim of a calculated scheme by my own son and daughter-in-law. The hardest part was when Tyler and Madison testified. My grandchildren testifying against their father. Tyler told the court about being discouraged from visiting, about his father's complaints about the burden of my care, about the change he saw in me now that I was safe. Madison told the court about a conversation she'd overheard 6 months before my rescue. Brian telling Jessica, "We just need to hang on until he deteriorates enough. Then we file for guardianship and this nightmare is over." Did you understand what your father meant by nightmare? The prosecutor asked. I think he meant taking care of Grandpa. I think my dad saw Grandpa as a problem to be solved, not a person to be cared for. That testimony broke Brian. I saw him put his head in his hands. Even his lawyer looked disturbed. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty on all counts, both of them. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. Brian got 7 years in state prison. Jessica got 9, the extra time for being the one who actually administered the Ambien. What you did to your father, the judge said to Brian, is one of the most heinous betrayals I've seen in 20 years on the bench. He raised you, he trusted you, and you repaid that trust by drugging him, abusing him, and planning to steal everything he'd worked for. 7 years is the maximum I can give you. I wish it were more. To Jessica, you're a real estate agent, a professional, educated. You knew exactly what you were doing. You researched how to drug an elderly man. You systematically sabotaged his medication. You coached your husband to believe this was acceptable. 9 years. After sentencing, I sat with Tyler and Madison in the courthouse hallway. Are you okay? Madison asked me. I'm okay. Better than okay. I'm safe. I'm healthy. I'm free. We're so sorry, Grandpa. We should have seen it. You were lied to, manipulated. This isn't your fault. What happens now? Tyler asked. Now, I live my life at Sunrise, with people who actually care, with nurses who make sure I take my real medication, with friends who play cards with me and don't see me as a burden. Can we visit regularly? I would love that. And they did. Tyler and Madison became regular visitors. Every week, we'd have lunch in the Sunrise dining room. We'd walk in the garden. We'd talk about their lives, their jobs, their hopes. Sometimes they'd ask about Brian. Have you talked to him? Has he written? Once, he sent a letter from prison, apologizing, saying he was sorry, that he got caught up in financial stress and made terrible choices. Did you forgive him? I thought about that. I don't know. Forgiveness is complicated. He's my son. I love him. But what he did is unforgivable. So I exist in this space between love and horror, between wanting the best for him and never wanting to see him again. That makes sense. Madison, Tyler, I want you to promise me something. Anything, Grandpa. When you have children someday, and when those children have children, and when I'm long gone, remember this story. Remember that elder abuse is real, that it happens in families, that it's often about money. And remember that old age doesn't mean worthless. Being sick doesn't mean disposable. Promise me. We promise. Today, I'm 75 years old. I've been at Sunrise Assisted Living for a year. My Parkinson's is managed properly now. I'm on the right medications, at the right doses, taken at the right times. I still have tremors. I still use a cane, but I'm stable. I'm safe. I'm surrounded by people who see me as a person, not a problem. Maria from the pharmacy comes to visit sometimes. She brings her kids, 2 little girls who call me Mr. Leonard and draw me pictures. She's become a friend, an advocate. She's giving talks at other pharmacies now, teaching staff how to recognize elder abuse. Sandra from APS checked in on me recently. Leonard, you know your case changed protocols across the state? We have new screening questions now. New training for caseworkers. You made a difference. I just wanted to survive. You did more than survive. You fought back. You documented. You reached out for help. A lot of elderly people in your situation don't. They're too scared, too isolated, too convinced they won't be believed. But you were believed, and you saved yourself. Brian will be eligible for parole in 5 years. Jessica in 7. When that time comes, I'll be almost 80. I don't know if I'll be alive. I don't know if I'll attend their parole hearings, but I know this. I'll never live with them again. I'll never trust them again. They'll never have access to my money, my medications, my life. Some people ask if I'm bitter, if I'm angry, and the answer is complicated. Yes, I'm angry. How could I not be? My own son tried to destroy me for money. But I'm also free. I'm 75 years old and I'm living on my own terms, surrounded by people who care, taking medications that actually help me, eating food that isn't laced with sedatives. Every morning, I wake up at sunrise and I think, I'm alive. I'm safe. I won. And that's more than many elder abuse victims can say. If you're watching this and you suspect an elderly person is being abused, financially, physically, emotionally, please speak up. Call Adult Protective Services. Contact the police. Document what you see. Because somewhere, there's a Leonard who's waiting for someone to notice, someone to believe them, someone to help. Don't ignore the signs. Don't convince yourself it's not your business, because it is. We're all responsible for protecting the vulnerable. And if you're elderly and you're being abused, by family, by caregivers, by anyone, please know this: you deserve better. You deserve safety. You deserve dignity. You deserve to live your final years without fear. Reach out to a pharmacy technician, to a doctor, to APS, to anyone who will listen. Don't give up. Don't accept that abuse is just part of aging. It's not. It's a crime. And you deserve justice. I'm Leonard Hayes. I'm 75 years old. I have Parkinson's disease. And I'm a survivor. If this story moved you, please hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss important stories like this. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Thank you for listening.